Operation Deep Freeze Biobank, the Pentagon's frozen archive. The year was 1957. Antarctica was a blank canvas of ice and silence, a place where science and secrecy often blended into the same white horizon. When the U.S. Navy launched its polar research missions under Operation Deep Freeze, the public believed the goal was simple: to study weather, geology, and endurance in extreme cold. But deep inside the program's medical division, a classified project was taking shape, one that would push the boundaries of life, death, and what it meant to be human. At McMurdo Station, Navy doctors began collecting biological samples from expedition members. A drop of blood here, a tissue biopsy there. At first it seemed routine, research into frostbite and hypothermia. Yet as the years passed, the samples grew in number, stored in cryogenic containers marked only by code numbers. They weren't just studying survival, they were building something far larger, a frozen archive of human life. By 1961, the Pentagon had taken notice. A quiet directive from the Department of Defense reclassified the collection as biomedical assets of strategic relevance. It was moved to the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research in Maryland and renamed the Operation Deep Freeze Biobank. There, scientists began a new phase, testing what extreme cold could do not only to kill, but to preserve. Could tissue revived from Antarctic temperatures show signs of life? Could cellular activity restart after years on ice? They weren't dreaming of immortality. Their goal was military practicality: how to preserve wounded soldiers or pilots until evacuation, how to suspend astronauts during long space missions without food or oxygen, and, most secretly of all, how to freeze a living body long enough to transport it across time and distance without irreversible damage. Throughout the 1960s, the lab ran experiments under harmless-sounding code names like Project Polar Vein and Cryopilot. Researchers reported moments of eerie success: fragments of muscle that twitched after rewarming, blood cells that seemed to wake up under the microscope. But for every small victory, there was failure: flesh that turned to crystal dust, organs that shattered under thermal stress, tissue that refused to reanimate. Still, the Pentagon considered it progress. Biostasis, one memo declared, may one day redefine casualty evacuation. Then came the silence. By the mid-1970s, public sentiment had shifted. Revelations about unethical human testing haunted Washington. The biobank's research, once a Cold War marvel, had become a liability. In 1983, the frozen tissue archive was quietly dismantled. Officially, the remaining vials were disposed of according to medical protocol. Unofficially, not all were accounted for. When investigative reporters later filed Freedom of Information requests, they found a single handwritten note in the archive logs. Some specimens missing. Unknown location, possibly transferred to civilian contractor. No names, no follow-up. Today, the Antarctic ice still preserves what it touches: bones, bacteria, memory. Somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten freezer or corporate lab, the Pentagon's frozen legacy might still endure. A secret biobank built to cheat death, born in the coldest place on Earth.